Greetings, this is Logue Elder, and this is another installment of Let's Talk Consciousness. I think it's been about 4 weeks since I posted one of these, and to all of the 4 people who watch them, I hope they're not too disappointed, but it's actually kind of related to the thing that I thought to share, which I may have mentioned before, but it is the idea that coming back to something creative, even if you put it down for a while, is really fundamentally important. It actually means a lot, and it's something that the further you get away from whatever your creative expression is, as far as putting it down and not coming back to it, the harder that can be. But it is this really fundamental thing. Not to get too far ahead of myself, because as I like to begin these, I always point out the purpose of Let's Talk Consciousness is to basically look at various life situations and challenges through the lens of, you could say Eastern philosophy, but the idea that consciousness is a sort of root source of reality, that reality is a manifestation of consciousness, or some sort of dreamlike state, or some sort of intentional illusion that we experience to grow and evolve and all these things. So if you're looking at things through that lens, what do you do in your day-to-day life? So I think that took about 30 seconds. I think that's more or less in a nutshell what I'm doing with these. So this set of recordings, music, drawing, I haven't written in over a decade, so that's a really good example. These are all things that I do that I will pick up and put down with various levels of frequency, and it's always a little bit discouraging to look at something that I haven't done in a long time, like writing in particular, like sitting down at a computer and writing something intentionally rather than this, which is very improvisational. I haven't done that in like probably 10 or 12 years, and I used to love doing it. Music, in a group setting, I haven't done that in too long, 5 years. And trying to do it on my own with any consistency. I'll say that that's been sporadic over the last 2 years. Every few months, I'll put a little energy into it. So my point being, every time you break away from a creative thing, it is a little daunting to come back to it, but I would share that it is vastly rewarding to put that little ego kind of kill switch on your creativity, this reflexive thought that because you maybe are out of practice at something, or you let it go and other people didn't and they're doing a better job than you, and you could lay all kinds of trips on yourself about being inferior, and it certainly doesn't help that you're not creatively putting anything out there. So, and not everybody's creative in that traditional way of music or drawing or writing or whatever. It could be a lot of things. You could have a goal to start your own business and maybe found that you put it on the back burner for a while, or whatever it is, anything that excites you, that it's like the world's not going to pull it out of you. You have to do it yourself. Like, you have to find the passion and the excitement to keep coming back to it, even when you fall off and have to get back up. So in letting 4 weeks go by, whatever it is between the last video and this one, and what would have been before it, probably another 4 weeks, I don't want to give up, and I don't want to look back at that and go, oh shit, that would have been cool if I kept doing it. So I'm going to continue on. In fact, actually kind of an example today, a real experience, because I try to draw in real experiences with these. I've been trying, particularly at work, but in all settings, at home and with casual friends, to intentionally let more of myself out. So what I mean by that is there are lots of situations where I think we think to say something, whether it's a joke, an observation, an opinion, and the world bends over backwards to convince us that we ought to just keep that to ourselves. And there certainly are things that maybe are a little harmful to share, so you have to be careful. But my point is, when the thing is like benign, but you're deciding not to say it because you're kind of like, I don't really have much to contribute here, or that wouldn't have been very funny. So yeah, maybe it wouldn't have been, but the point is, you thought it was funny, or you thought it was an interesting observation, and you let it fall by the wayside. And there's a little bit of pain that goes along with doing that, and it's a real disservice to yourself, which I don't think people look at it that way. But it is, like, if you we're almost like a separate entity controlling the behavior of another person, and you could select and deselect the moments when they get to crack a joke or let a little bit of themselves out. It would kind of make you an asshole if you just always opted not to do those things. If you think of it like a video game. If you were controlling another character, and you have choices over what they do. If you were responsible for another person's behavior and you always selected to have them just kind of opt out of being a person or having a personality, it's kind of a dick move. And that's what you may be doing to yourself if you choose to always keep to yourself these little aspects of your personality, these little nuggets of you. So, a Halloween party at work. Happy Halloween, by the way. Like I'm mixing it up with people that some of them I'm a little better acquainted with, some not so much, and it's a challenge sometimes to know how everyone's going to feel about everything. But I did err on the side of risking a bit just by making jokes and being more of myself. And it's like me being myself is not probably all that suitable for an insurance office. Like my thoughts and opinions about things, the things that excite me, are things you can't really talk. Like cannabis. Like I could talk about this all day. Philosophical ways of destroying harmful and limiting beliefs. Like that's a thing that when you go to a conventional office, that place is built on limiting beliefs. It's built on hierarchy. So to go in there and try to have an attitude that is trying to dissolve those things, not like in a subversive way, but just in my own behavior. Like I try not to engage the little training that we get socially to contain ourselves. Like your work, be appropriate. Like I err on the side of being inappropriate, not like in a harmful way or a traumatic way. I'm careful about that. I'm compassionate. But what I mean is I'm not necessarily adhering to the script that everybody is collectively feeling they need to adhere to. Like, example, let me take a puff for this. A couple of the girls in my office came as a group costume, and it was a concept, and the concept was Netflix and chill. One of them wore a sweater that had snowflakes on it and said chill. The other one wore a red sweater that had the Netflix logo. And because it was work, they felt the need that there needed to be something like as a barrier between that. And the first thought was a condom as a joke. The other was, I think they settled on popcorn. And that was the thing they felt they needed to do to make it work, safe for work. Personally, I don't think people would have really had a big problem with it. I don't think anybody did, because it's a fairly benign way of referring to casual sex. It's not very in your face. But my point is, the attitude, the preconceived notion is that that's going to upset people, and yeah, it might. Depends on where you work, I guess. But that's exactly the attitude, among many attitudes, that I would want to just push back against, and in a compassionate, gentle way, not like being subversive or abrasive, but where I see those kinds of limiting beliefs. And granted, I'm a guest there, I'm an employee, I'm not trying to completely upset the apple cart, but in the way that it is a collective and we kind of become a family, I'm trying to encourage attitudes in that family that I think are a little bit more free. So I encourage you to do the same thing. If you can't always pick your surroundings and the people around you, you might be able to bring out more of yourself in the way that people tend to follow. And either they bring out more of themselves, or maybe they're kind of comfortable moving into your space a little bit and being a little bit more like you. I'm trying to form... I'm saying this in jest, but my hope is to form a smoking club among my coworkers, but we'll see if that pans out. Alright, anyway, that's long enough. Anybody who's watching, thank you, I love you, and, let us have more of you. Let us enjoy what you've got to share, and enjoy your now.